Time is approximately 3:29. It's May 5th, 2011. My name is Thomas Devine, and I am a videographer from Alliance Reporting.
Okay. Now, a little while ago, Peter, you will recall having a private discussion with me.
Definitely.
And no one else was present at that time except you and me and the videographer.
Yes.
This followed a conversation that we had yesterday in person, and it has followed a conversation that I've had with you several times on the phone over the past several weeks.
Yes.
And as a result of that, I prepared a document, which I gave you a draft of yesterday, entitled The Peter Ausnit Irrevocable Trust of 2011.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you whether or not I have prepared this instrument in strict accordance with your instructions.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Now, are you aware of who you've designated as trustees of this instrument?
Yes.
And who are they?
Christopher.
Right.
And
the gentleman you
Mr.
just met.
David.
David Field.
Right.
Yes.
I'm very reassured that you and he have been partners for 27 years.
Yes, we were partners for a very long time. I'm now continuing to practice law in Melville. He practices here in New York and is also a director of the organization in whose location we are executing this instrument, which is the Memorial Library for the benefit of education, Holocaust matters. David has agreed to act as a co-trustee, and he is present in the room, as is Christopher, your son. And you have explained to me in detail the enormous influence that Christopher has had in enhancing your health.
Definitely.
And in demonstrating care for you and the care for your personal needs in the future, that he has extended an invitation to you, which you're very strongly considering.
Yes.
To go west, young man.
Definitely.
And that is to go out in California where he lives and has a very suitable place for you to live in his home.
And a nurse.
And a nurse, if needed. And the purpose of this trust is to be the receptacle of some assets that you may be coming into very shortly as a result of a settlement with the Romanian government and Romanian entities, and that you will be sharing with...
Right, and Mr. David has had a great deal to do with that, as I understand it.
Yes, David Field is well aware of the Holocaust victims' funds that have been recouped over many years through a federal court proceeding that involved the confiscation by the Nazi era of monies of various parties, including Jews, in the occupied countries by the Axis powers.
Well, I'm particularly aware of that because my uncle, Uncle Max, was nearly killed several times. I mean, he's also in Life magazine, and Chris showed me on the internet all sorts of things that I knew from my childhood, you know, how he was nearly killed, often.
Now, in connection with this trust,
Thank you.
which I've shown you, we have a table of contents, of course.
Yes.
And I have indicated who is executing it.
Yes.
You were kind enough to point out to me that when I drafted this instrument, I made a faux pas in naming the person that you wanted to leave money to in the event that Christopher should predecease, Mary Booth.
Right.
And she is not Susan Booth. She is actually the daughter of the grantor's longtime friend, David Booth. And you provided for, in the event of Christopher's death again, that the remainder of this trust corpus is to go to the Salvation Army, should he predecease you.
Right. One other small matter, and that is that this lady, I have known her before she was delivered from her mother's womb. I mean, I've known her all her life.
So that
and
makes it a
before.
long term. I mean, I think you told me your date of birth was
October 11th.
79.
October 11th, what?
No,
31,
31.
You're 79.
I am 79.
I wasn't asking you any questions, you know. And you had indicated before what your social security number is. You still remember?
078283138.
And you were talking about some of the recent current events that have occurred.
Yes,
Yeah, well-
Mr. Bin Laden has been killed. It took our president 5 days to decide not to exhibit any photographs.
Right. And probably a good decision, probably one of the better
One
things
of the
done.
few. He's also managed today to lower the value of our dollar to its lowest ebb in, I don't quite know how. I mean,
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm now going to
it's
ask
supposed
you.
to show that I'm
Yeah,
on the
I know.
ball.
I'm now going to ask you to review some language that I put in here.
Thank you.
Which is what you are adding to this trust. You are designating this
Right.
property to go into this trust,
Right.
which is Schedule A attached. And it recites as follows: all that certain property, shares, proceeds, or entitlements that the grantor, Peter Ausnet, is now or may become entitled to, pursuant to an agreement bearing date and signed respectively on the 19th and 21st day of November 2003 between the grantor, Peter Ausnet, and your cousin Stephen Ausnet, which relates inter alia to a claim for reparations and/or restitution referred to therein as the Romanian assets, which agreement is incorporated by reference herein and is made against the government of Romania based upon a fund established therefore and based upon confiscation and other damage to the property of the Ausnet family. So you are going to be putting this money into the trust.
Yes.
I've explained to you that this trust, of which you are the grantor, is to be held for your benefit for the duration of your natural life, and that and only your benefit, and that upon your death, only in that event will it go to the parties that you wish, and you've designated that you want that to be Christopher, because he is going to be the sole heir of this property that you've indicated, aside from the alternative bequests that I discussed
Right,
before
I
in
was
the event of
just-
his predecease.
Right.
Okay, so now I am going to ask you if you understand this trust and what it does.
Yes.
You've had the opportunity to review it. You've had the opportunity to ask me any questions with reference to it.
Right.
And I have, to the best of my ability, given you those answers. You have indicated that you want this property to be separate and distinct from any property that is held by any guardian of your property, Ms. Rosato. And you've indicated previously on the tape that we took before of my interview with you what your feelings are about that. And it's not necessary that you do so again.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you now on page
As
40.
one of the understatements of the day.
Okay. I'm going to ask you on page 42
Yes.
of the trust agreement to sign your name
Pardon me.
as the grantor. Okay. And I then am going to ask Christopher, I'm going to ask him some questions first. Christopher,
like me to move?
No, no,
can you hear Christopher?
Yes, I can.
And would you now focus on him, please? Christopher, your father has now executed a trust agreement, and I have explained to you just prior to this what the obligations of a trustee are, and that you have a fiduciary responsibility during the course of your father's lifetime to act solely in his benefit and solely for his welfare, and that you have agreed to accept this trust under those conditions, and that you are aware that David Field, who originally was the party that introduced me to your father, and of whom he has met and interviewed and learned quite a bit, and so have you, has agreed to act as a co-trustee because we do need under the terms of this kind of a trust, a disinterested trustee, one who is going to inherit nothing and will make certain that these assets are safeguarded during his lifetime along with you. So under those conditions, I'm going to ask you, will you, to the best of your abilities, carry out the terms and purposes of this trust, and do you accept this trust?
Yes, absolutely. And I
Okay,
want to say for the record that we're very lucky to have any participation with Mr. Fields, who's just done an extraordinary job, I think, for the last 20 years with this settlement. It's just papers were not only missing, but the communist government themselves denied any of this existed. And if it wasn't for his tireless efforts and extraordinary sagacity, none of this would have happened. And we're very grateful to him.
And very impressed
Very
with
impressed.
his clients.
Yeah. Your stepfather,
And-
your godfather.
Who?
Your godfather, Malaxa.
Yes, I didn't quite hear. I'm sorry.
Okay, Chris.
I didn't.
Being a man of small words, would you now
Yes.
sign your name as a trustee?
Do you want me to sign this? I
Right
usually
on the
sign
top.
Chris. Do you want me to sign this? I usually sign Chris. I never go by Christopher.
Well, that's your official name.
Okay.
Isn't it? So
Well,
I
do
would
you
do,
want-
please sign it with the official name,
Okay.
because that's how you'll be known to
Sure.
the various institutions that we may proceed with. And I'm going to ask David Field if he would now come and take your seat
Yeah.
and take your microphone. David, I have previously asked you if you would agree to serve as a trustee.
Yes, you have.
And we recited on the record that you've been practicing law
Wait.
for, sorry, for some 52 plus years, and that you were an AV-rated Martindale-Hubbell lawyer, that you graduated from Tufts University and Columbia Law School cum laude, or magna cum laude, I don't remember, one of the two. And in event you had an unblemished record, you've never been sanctioned or disciplined in any fashion, and that you have that as a trustee before, that you're a director of this charitable organization known as the Memorial Library of Holocaust something. In any event,
Holocaust Studies.
Holocaust Studies. So having heard what Christopher said and having met him and having met the decedent, are you willing to accept the terms of this trust and the responsibilities that it carries with you, and will, to the best of your abilities, fulfill them?
Yes, I will.
Okay, could you then please affix your signature so acknowledging on the page? Okay, I now, as a notary public in the state of New York, am going to acknowledge the fact that the three parties, the grantor, Mr. Peter Ausnet, and the two trustees, Mr. Christopher Ausnet and David Field, have executed this document on the 5th day of May in my presence, and actually in the presence of each other. And we have now completed the execution ceremony involving the trust and the proceedings that we need to have videotaped today. I will say that the reason I wanted to have this execution ceremony and the meetings that I've had with Peter today, as well as the will, which he did previously videotaped, is because he is making a new will, and he is making an irrevocable trust, and he is putting these assets into vehicles that he has not done before, that he understands that this is in his best interests, and I wanted to make certain that it was clear that he knew what he was doing, and that these were expressly his wishes, and that he was not forced or compelled by any person to make these provisions. And I want to thank you
I thank
for
you.
coming in today.
Thank you, really.
Okay, we're done.